Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
ABC Wednesdays.
Y'all can play all day. We want books. We want paper towels in the classroom. Bet you want raises, too.
I'm still waiting on the paper towels.
Abbott Elementary returns with a new season.
We asked the district for more after-school programs. They gave us $50 for class pets instead.
Critics cheer. Abbott Elementary continues to be one of the funniest and most beloved shows on TV.
What y'all doing out there?
Taking bribes.
Proud of y'all.
Abbott Elementary, Wednesdays, 9:30, 8:30 Central on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. Today, we have one of my OG YouTube homies, KayleyMelissa.
Hey.
I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm happy that I'm here.
Visiting in town. Hell yeah.
Yes. I'm glad to be back in LA. Yeah, we've been homies since Megan Rosette and Let's Make It Up 1.
Dude, fucking forever.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I feel like I made YouTube friends for a solid maybe 18 months, and then I made no new ones. So
no new friends.
No new friends. All of the YouTube friends that I have are from that era.
That's
And then I was
funny.
yeah, I'm set. I'm good. I don't need any more. And they'll have friend crushes like Tana Mojo, but
oh my God, I can see that.
oh, I literally went to BeautyCon one year just to meet her. I was I'm gonna go to her meetup. And then
I love that. I love that you're as much of a fangirl as I am.
I lost it over her.
I pick my people that I'm a fan of, and it's embarrassing. Whitney Simmons has a Gymshark pop-up today. I'm about to go buy my weight in Gymshark outfits.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I found her from one of those Tarte trips. I didn't go on it, but I saw that she was on it. And I was you're doing squats with your nice butt and you're in Bora Bora. It was great.
Do you ever okay, her Instagram, it's insane. Her squats, when she squats, I'm will I ever look like that?
Well,
it's not possible.
It's one of those things that I'm I can't, my butt will never look like that, but also I can't squat that low.
No, me neither.
I truly can't. And I just look at her form and I'm just things I aspire to be like.
Same.
I will never look when they're okay, now squat you're sitting in a chair. I'm I'm gonna look like I'm sitting in a stool, a high stool. I'm never going to be she squats she's sitting on a squatty potty. That's how low she goes. It's insane.
And she looks perfect doing it.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to be that ripped. I want to be when I get to be a mom, I want to be that fucking ripped.
Oh, okay.
I love ripped moms.
I do too.
With their giant biceps.
You want
babies.
the challenge of getting pregnant first and then getting ripped?
Yeah.
Okay.
It gives me time. It gives me a lot of time. And also you have to I used to decide I decided I wanted to work out because I wanted to be able to lift my own suitcase into the overhead bin.
Yes, same.
But I feel I want to get ripped when I have kids because I have to lift children. And it's not just a once a year, oh, let me put my suitcase up. No, this is my kid will be mommy, and I'll be fuck your head.
You'll just pull them with one hand, just toss them
That's
up in
what
the
I
air.
want to do. Have you ever
And
seen
then
those
catch
moms
'em.
do workout videos with their kids where they're bench pressing their children?
Yeah, I've seen
do
that.
it in yoga, and I'm okay, no, I want to
Yeah.
I want to deadlift my baby. If you guys are new here, this is Don't Blame Me. It's an advice podcast. And if you want to be on an upcoming episode, or you don't necessarily want to be, but you really need help with your life and you want to leave us a voicemail, you can give us a call at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com.
I'm going to do my very best. I'm hoping that I've been in enough therapy to make me a good advice giver.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel at this point, if I'm not, I should ask for a refund. I would like my money back.
Right.
Should we get on to the first one?
Let's try it.
Hey, Megan and Melissa and whoever else is there. I'm 23. I just started law school. And by the way, listen to your podcast on my commute every single day to school and away from school. It's great. So, with that being said, I have found in my life that I make the best relationships organically. In undergrad, I joined a sorority and realized, like, it wasn't for me, and it took me, like, 3 or 4 years to make solid friends with common interests. But then I go to law school, and they basically make you feel like networking and knowing everyone and getting along with everyone and essentially just being, like, a very extroverted person is not the only way to excel, but I guess, like, just it's important. And I would consider myself more of an introvert. I'm kind of like a one-on-one person, but in terms of, like, starting conversations with people, it's not my thing. If someone talks to me, of course, like, I'm friendly. But most of the people in my class have this, like, disingenuousness about them, and it's so hard. It kind of brings it out in me, like, I feel like I have to fake conversation or like I want to be a bubbly person. So I guess my question is, do you have any advice for an introvert and kind of like social settings, how to start conversations, how to lead conversations, but also like how not to get caught up in the bullshit and to just kind of be genuine while also, you know, being likable in some way?
Damn, that's hard.
Yeah. Can I first say, like, being genuine is the most likable?
Yeah.
So it's not an either or.
Mm-hmm.
Very much goes together. Do you consider yourself an introvert?
I think I'm like, I joked about with my therapist. I think I'm like a depressed extrovert, like, and like a socially anxious extrovert. Like, I don't regain energy like in the definition of an introvert. Like, you regain that energy and like you refill your tank alone, or like in those kinds of situations. I don't feel like that. Like, I feel like when I'm around people that I really like and I've chosen to be there and I feel like it's like my kind of setting. Like, if I'm on set, like I come home and I'm so energized. Like, the whole time, like, I'm like feeding off of that energy. I don't feel like that if I'm just like spending the day at home by myself. But at the same time, like, if I'm with a group of people I don't like, like, I'm not thriving. I'm like, I'm dying inside. I'm fucking dying. I'm fucking dying.
Okay.
But that's also kind of, I feel like the situation that she's in is like, do you consider yourself more of an introvert?
Oh, I'm fully introverted.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Definitely, I get my energy being alone. I relate to this struggle 100%. Like, this sounds like I could have called in and asked this question at one point in my life. So
networking is, I also find it a really disingenuous thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah. Okay, first thing I want to throw out there is I read this book called Quiet. I forget the tagline. It's something like The Art of Surviving, The Introvert's Guide to Surviving in a World That Can't Stop Talking. And I think this caller would actually really like it. It opens with a story of the author's experience as a lawyer and how being an introvert actually really helped her. So I think this would be a good one. It goes into a lot of the unique strengths that introverts bring to the world. Because for me, like, I grew up being very introverted, and especially in high school, I felt like that meant that I was never going to like have a place, you know, because
high school, the hierarchy is how confident and how loud are you.
Exactly. And so I think, like, part of my own journey of like fully embracing myself has been learning that, like, I do have strengths and good things to offer the world as an introvert. And I think that book was one of like a particular turning point for me. So I recommend. Okay. But I have so many thoughts I have to collect.
No, I mean, I'm already impressed with the book.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, very, very impressed.
Yeah, it's called The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking.
Okay, I got close.
You were very close.
Really fucking close.
Okay. Let's see. So I think you're asking two things, actually. I think you're asking about making genuine connections with people that you care about, and you're asking about the act of networking. And I don't think that they necessarily have to be the same thing. I think that when we try to make networking something where we feel like there's going to be a level of connection that you can make with people, but that's not necessarily where you're going to get into like the stuff that makes you move and feel as a person. You know, that's your close relationships, that's your friends, that's your family, that's all that. The art of networking is, I think it's about making connections with people in your field, people that have similar interests, and all those kind of things that are going to help you when you get out of law school and you're working in whatever facet of law you want to get into. So I think as far as like how to survive networking and how to make it work for you, I think, embrace the fact that you seem like you're a person that really enjoys your own sense of authenticity and your own sense of genuineness with people and with conversation. And that is going to help you so much in your professional life and in your personal life. I think it will even help you, honestly, in networking because it gives you the ability to actually care when you're having small talk with people, which I feel sometimes people that are just like extroverted to the extreme don't have. So like, I guess first is like recognize your strengths and then recognize that like when you are networking, it's a skill. It's learning how to somebody brings up something. It's like batting, I think of it like tennis, like batting
it's
a
like
ball
a mini meeting.
Yeah.
It's not like a friend casual hangout.
Exactly. So you learn like the ropes of like, here's how you like bounce the ball back and forth across the court and get it where you're trying to go. So if you're trying to make a connection in this class so that you have, I don't know, just to prove to yourself that you can make connections, that's one thing. If you're trying to get something out of it, like later in life where you need a connection to get you into a certain role or whatever, like, you gain those skills. And so I think part of it is just practice. And I honestly, because like doing what we do, we have to network quite a bit. And I hate it.
I hate it so
It makes
much.
me feel like I'm dying. Well, I know because every time we end up at a networking event,
we just sit we find a couch and we just sit and ignore everybody else.
We do.
This is why I have no new friends. I'm like, no, I'm good. I don't need to meet anybody else. If I know one person, I'm like, I'm solid.
No, I know. I've done that too, obviously. But I've read books like, I think it's like 92 Ways to Talk to Anybody. And it's like little tips and stuff that you can like have in the back of your head. Or there's a YouTube channel called Charisma on Demand where they just give you like little tips for like how to like go through a conversation. And if you're an introvert, you're probably a little bit more introspective. You probably think in terms of like facts and figures a little bit more. So it will probably help you to have a couple things in your back pocket where you're like, oh, okay. So in this situation, if I do this, it will help things move forward. Just like giving you like a little bit of a sense of knowing what you're doing, a little bit of sense of confidence in like maybe in an area where you don't feel it as much.
Yeah. And I think it's play on the strength of the fact that you say you work so much better in like on a one-on-one. Like that's like what you're saying is like when the person who's like networking in the sense of like talking to a big group and like being funny, like that's not someone you're like, oh, I can really like you. But if you're actually trying to get like a work connection later on, people aren't like, well, I don't actually really know if you've got great work ethic. Like I know that you're funny and like you're charming, but I don't have that like a one-on-one memory. So like I think if like you find someone who like looks friendly, like and like I think a lot of people fake the networking thing of like being like, oh yeah, I'm on. So as disingenuous as all these other people seem, I think if you can come through very genuine and talk to one person, I think that facade that they're putting on will probably drop. And I think focusing one-on-one, even if it's like you go to these networking events and maybe that's not where you thrive, but there's like someone in one of your classes that like you think is really interesting or some like a TA or I don't even know how law school works in that way, but like someone that you want like, and maybe it's like, hey, like I'd love to take you to coffee and pick your brain. And then you can have that one-on-one conversation. And I think a good starter is like, finding like different things. But if any time for me, when I'm like feeling super uncomfortable and like trying to get to know someone and like make those connections, I just ask a ton of questions. Like I'm just going to start by asking you about yourself. And that makes that person feel so much more comfortable. And then at least for me, like I get the most anxious when I think that like I'm fucking up a conversation and someone else feels weird. So I'm going to do anything to make you just feel like this is the greatest conversation ever, even if like I'm not getting anything out of it, but you being like, oh wow, this was really great. And I talked about myself all the time. Then I feel like, okay, cool. I feel more confident and comfortable. So I think that's a good way to do it. And you don't feel like you're putting yourself out on a limb as much when you're talking about like yourself in that way, because like you're just asking about them. And you're right. It's a muscle. It's something that you practice. And like you said at the beginning, like it's so different than making friends. I think it's one thing is mini meetings and mini interviews and that. And then the other one is like finding really nice, cool people. And even the people that you might see and meet at these networking things might come across as really like not your kind of person, but they might end up being that once you see them and talk to them in the real world.
For sure.
Yeah. I used to when I first moved here, go to networking events. Like I'd be at one like 3 times a week. And it was exhausting. And the thing is, nothing ever really came out of it because everyone was trying to do the same thing. And so I found that that just making friends with people, and then like your friends can connect you with other people that are in that field. So like, for example, this one girl that I met like at a VidCon one year. She is.
Was it me?
It was at the same VidCon where we saw each other. Like, yeah. Anyway, but she is one of these people that just knows everyone, and she's good at the networking. And so she'll be like, "Hey, Melissa, I have somebody that I think you would vibe with," and so she'll set us up on like a coffee thing. And so I think like finding friends that are like genuine and is the first step in actually networking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that actually makes sense. One quick thing was like when I was working on my social anxiety, to put words to what you said, one of the things that I read is that like typically when we start to spiral and freak out over like how we're performing in a conversation, we're turning the focus back in and like circling here, where what you should do is turn it back to the other person and like focus.
Because it takes the weight and pressure off of you.
Exactly. And the other thing, like when I started cosmetology school and I had to talk to people like all the freaking time, I would go home every day and cry about it. Like it was the hardest thing. And yeah, muscle builds it up.
Yeah, it's like it's like dating. And as much as people think that like it might come across like, wow, people are so good at this and they really like it. No one does like it. And I think like if you can not, and I don't think you'll get caught up in like the faking it aspect, but I think once you do it more, you'll see that it is kind of just like putting on a show and a facade, and that it's not a forever thing, and it's not what'll make or break everything. And I think like especially in like college, and I'm assuming law school in that same way, that kind of like idea that like you have to like speak to big groups and like make all these like that's what really matters and like lasts. But it's, I mean, I remember like even, I mean, I won't say, because like you were in a sorority and like you get along well with all of them, and like you still do stuff. Well, not all of them, but like
all of them.
You still are active in like alumni stuff. I have friends who joined sororities just for the networking stuff, and they're like, yeah, no, none of that shit panned out at all. So like I wouldn't put as much pressure on yourself for networking. I think when you're young and you're trying to like, I don't know, stand out, I think like we try to find anything we can that's going to get a leg up and put a lot of weight on it when it's really not actually as important as like your education. And like if these like networking events and stuff, like in the long haul of like your career in law, that's not what's going to make or break it at all.
That's for sure. The other thing is, I guess didn't say this, but there are very much different kinds of networkers. Like I can go into an event and I'll probably make like if I'm really trying, I'll make like 3 to 5 like connections where like me and this person actually like spent time together and there's something that can come out of it. And then there's some people that can go in and they can meet 20 people and dazzle all of them, and both of those methods are entirely valid.
Yeah.
And it's just whoever you are in that situation and whatever is right for you. So yeah, it's just finding your own voice and your own self in there. But also like when you feel like people are being kind of bullshitty and just like trying to put on a face, like they're learning their style too. And it's not, you don't have to meet them on that. You can stay in your own authenticity in that.
Yeah. And people will see that and they'll like that. But best of luck and congrats on law school.
For sure. Hey.
Like, okay, Elwood. Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. And yeah, let us know how it goes.
Hi, Megan. Hi, Melissa. And whoever the guest is. I'm 20 years old. I'm turning 21 in April, so a few months from now. I'm in college, and so not really sure how to start off here. I know it sounds a little, not even shallow that I worry about this, but just this isn't something that I would normally like pick at or notice. But one of the things that bothers me about my friend group is I'm not really close to all of them. I have a very strong personality, and I somehow just always find out when people are talking to me just because I'm constantly having anxiety, and I just feel like my anxiety like just always leads me towards finding out that people are talking about me, if that makes sense. So I've heard some really, really horrible things that were said about me, and not that I'm the type to hold a grudge, but I just feel like a lot of true colors were shown. And it just kind of hurts me to kind of just be living with these people and kind of just be struggling because they are my only college friends. But my main question is, what do I do about feeling so bothered when my friend group, they all comment on each other's like Instagrams and stuff, like being a supportive friend, like complimenting them, but then like when I post something, like I don't get any replies, like say like on my Snapchat story, like they never say like, oh, you look so cute. Like no one checks up on me. Like I don't know. I guess it's just one of those little things that for some reason bother me. I tried taking like a social media detox or whatever by deleting Instagram, and I honestly loved it. But literally just now, which prompted me to make this call, I re-downloaded it, and the first thing I saw was one of my friend group, one of the girls in my friend group had posted a picture, and literally all of them were commenting, like, you look great, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was tempted to be petty and post the picture and just kind of do like a little social experiment, but I just deleted the app. So that is helping me. So I'm just wondering if you have any words of advice of just hopefully what I can do to just kind of be a little bit more mature about the situation and not let something so silly like social media comments kind of really get to me. I love your podcast. I literally listen to it constantly in the car, at the gym. Yeah, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
I mean, I don't think you're being immature at all.
No, I don't think so either.
I also really relate to you. Big personality. You can sniff when people are talking about you from a mile away.
Yeah.
It is my number one party trick that no one asks to see. We'll be at a party and I'll be either with like Mott's or I'll be with like somebody else and I'll just be looking. I was like, my girl's talking about me right now. And Mott's like, no, she's not. I go, no, that girl's 100% talking about me right now. And then like someone else will come over and like talk and like will say something that I'm like, oh no, yeah, you clearly, this is like a whole thing.
Wow.
It's mostly like girls who like have like made out with my boyfriend or like had like, oh, I like didn't know that he had a girlfriend. It's like, and then I'm like, bitch, I can, and I'm like super confrontational. So I very much understand that feeling. But I think the reason, like you're saying, like, I don't want this to bother me as much and be more mature. I think the reason it bothers you, is because like it follows this same narrative that like your friends who like have been talking bad about you behind your back. And then you go on Instagram and they're all hyping each other up and not talking and not commenting on yours. Like it follows the same narrative of like, I truly just think you have some shitty friends. And it sucks. And like anytime someone calls in or says anything about a friend group, my red flags go up.
Right.
And I'm like, friend groups, it doesn't work. It doesn't function in the way that like, and they also carry such importance in high school and like college and like that time when you have like your group of gals, like you have all, like I think about that to like my like high school like friend group. There's a pre-prom picture of us senior year and nothing is more like telling of me and my high school experience because it's me with like 40 people and that's like technically my friend group, and in every picture it's my best friend Cindy and I looking at each other, either squeezing each other's hands like laughing or just looking at each other as if nobody else is there. Because like that's the thing, it's like you can't be incredibly close with like 15 people and have you all be on the same page.
Correct.
And have like them all be equally as close. Like it's natural that people are going to kind of break off into like 2s or 3s, and it really sucks when it feels like you don't have – I have a really hard time with when people have issues with me that I don't have issues with them. Because I'm like, why do you hate – what do you mean? I don't hate you.
Yeah.
Like what did – and I'm like, I get very like, well, I want to hate you first. Like what the fuck? Like that kind of thing. And it feels really frustrating. But I think I get that you like – I think you live with them. Did you say she said roommates? Yeah. So I think like – what you need to do is there's definitely you're feeling really, really isolated and you're the only one in this situation. And not even like a woe is me kind of way, but I would say try and like take a step back and like do some digging and see, are they doing this to other people in your, like, does it feel like they're the one, like you're the only one out? Or is it like, are there a couple of people left out? And if that's true, reach out to those people and hang out with those people in your friend group a little bit more. Yeah. I think even if it is like a small friend group, there does tend to be a hierarchy of like, who's the coolest one, and those voices and what they say and do, like that means the most and that matters the most to get that approval. And I think like fostering relationships with like small, like even like the first call, like smaller groups of people and like one-on-one kind of stuff, I think it's going to feel a lot better and more important and deeper, because like those are people that actually really care about you. And I think the reason why you're upset about the social media stuff is because it's manifesting this like fear that you have that your friends don't, that some of your friends don't like you and are talking bad about you. And it just kind of adds to it. And I think the detoxing is a great thing, but I think like you also kind of need to detox shitty people in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was listening to this, I was like, so is it the Instagram comments that are a problem or the friends that are a problem? I mean, it's hard to tell because like there's so much information we don't have. I'm like gonna retweet all of what you just said though. That was great. Oh man. Yeah, I would say like I think that's really good advice about like taking a look at the rest of the friend group and seeing like is it like, and first of all, like I think one of the very first things she said was like, I'm not close to everybody in my friend group. And I was like, that sounds normal to me. Like I had a very small group in high school, not 50 people, but like 6 to 8. And I talked to very little of them still. And I was very, very close with only half of them. You know, I think it's very normal to only have like close relationships with a couple of people. And when like a situation puts together like 10 people, like you're not all going to get along. You're like situational friends and you can make that work and you can make really great, you know, relationships from that. But I don't think you have to stress about like, do I have equally strong relationships with these 10 people? Because I feel like 10 actually truly close friends, that's impossible to keep up.
That's a lot.
That's a full-time job.
Yeah. And you can't date then either.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's so much.
So, yeah, I like the idea of taking a step back and seeing if you feel closer to other people. It sounds like for whatever reason, you guys are not fully jiving right now, and I don't know what that's about. If there are people that you feel like you're closer to and you're really in tune with and would like to keep investing in those relationships, like maybe you could open up the dialogue just a little bit and be like, you know, hey, I'm just getting the sense that like maybe there's a little distance or something and I really care about you as a friend and I want to make sure everything's okay. And, you know, if they're invested and they're good friends, they'll find a way to have that conversation with you. And if they're not at a point where they can do that, or they're just, your personalities don't jive, that's not anything about you. It's just, you know, you guys are at a really transitional time in your lives and you're learning a lot about yourselves and about each other, and it's fine for friendships to ebb and flow. So yeah, I would just like take a look at this friend group, see who matters, let go of the ones that don't, not necessarily like cut them out, but just, you know, don't let your validity rise and fall with how they feel about you. And if this friend group isn't like the group, then like find people that, you know, you can really hype on Instagram and they'll hype you back because they got your back. Yeah.
And I think it's a hard line to figure out the difference of who do you want to be friends with and whose approval are you seeking.
Yeah.
And when I got like fully exiled from my college friend group, I now looking back on it, I so desperately was like, at that time I was like, no, I really wanted to be friends again with them. I want to be friends again. But I was like, no, I got burned and I wanted their approval back. And like all of that I put into that and that investing into it, it wasn't because they were great friends. Clearly they didn't want to be my friend, but like that felt so shitty to me that like I was just seeking their approval and calling it friendship. And then that's a game you cannot win.
Ever. Yeah.
So I think it's take it back and like, you don't want friends who don't do that. Like that's like, it's the same thing with dating. Like you don't want to force someone who's like not that into you to date you. Like you also don't want to be friends with people who aren't great. Like, and it's a hard thing to have, especially because when you're in college and all of that stuff, like you want to have friends regardless. You're like, even if they're shitty, like I just need some friends. Right. But I think like you can have like the I don't want to say, like more like surface level friendship with these people and then invest in the ones that are worth investing in.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, in general, you don't want to let your sense of self rise and fall based on how other people are treating you. Like you are valid and worthy of love and belonging no matter how many people are your friend or how many people in this friend group comment on your picture. Start there.
Yeah.
And then work out.
Yeah.
I need some advice about dealing with a difficult person, we'll say. Last year, my roommate ended up being a very rude person and just all around not a good person to be around. In short, it was obviously a year-long deal of me living with her, but basically she thought that I was bullying her if I wouldn't come in and talk to her, when really all I want to do is go in and watch Netflix. She told me that I needed to go to therapy to deal with being stressed out, which I'm fine with therapy, of course, but it was said a very rude way. And it was just constantly her saying that I was bullying her, and when, oddly enough, an issue came up over pillows, everything just kind of exploded, and she started telling other people that I threatened her life because she moved my pillows, which is not true at all. But the thing that makes this really difficult is that we're in the same sorority, and literally in a couple of days I'm going back to campus and living in the house once again, luckily with different people, but I will definitely be around her, and I just want your advice on like how to deal with someone who has caused all of this trauma, so to speak. She's like blocked me on all social media, refuses to like acknowledge my existence anymore, which is fine with me because we never really got along after that whole situation happened. But we're still in the same sorority, and I just want everything to be cool, and it's really making me nervous going back. So any advice that you might have about how to be in her presence, especially when I hear her talking bad about me, would be greatly appreciated. Love you guys. Thanks. Bye.
Oof. What the fuck? Are we sure this isn't like a Netflix horror movie waiting to happen?
Truly. Honestly, it's so funny though, because like people always make fun of like, you know, like girls, quote unquote, or people for caring so much about throw pillows. Like that's like, oh my god, you have so many fucking pillows. Like you and your obsession with pillows. Like that's literally Monta's like number one joke with me, that like we have too many, like you and your throw pillows. And I'm like, this girl, like I love that. Like this is like classic what like straight guys think girls fight over.
Yeah.
So, like yeah, they probably like lost their friendship over throw pillows. Oh my god,
they did.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I mean, I don't know how great I'm going to be at answering this, because you want a way to like be cool and be mature. Whereas for me, I would just flat out fucking ignore her. Like I just wouldn't I would not acknowledge her presence.
Would your Leo just full on take over?
Oh my god, yeah. I would just be like, I'm also one of the people that like, if I sense crazy and unhinged, I fucking hate unhinged people. I do not like people who are unpredictable and like, I don't know what they're going to do or say. So I am like, I'm not fucking liable. Like I'm as far the fucking way as possible. If you, will not be questioned.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
I will not be a witness. Like I am not, like I like to like really remove myself from that. And so yeah, that's, I mean, I just think like it's, you can want to be cool and cordial with someone, but clearly she doesn't want that with you. So I don't think that I think whatever the relationship that she has with you, I think that's what you mirror. And if she's going to be like petty and stoop like really low, don't mirror that. But if she's going to just flat out ignore you, I would have her like set the tone for how it's going to be when you see her. And you can just like smile and say like, hey. And then if she just like is like totally ignores you, then like, okay, cool. And then if she brings it up later, it's like, well, I thought that that's what you would have wanted from me. Like I was taking what I assumed you would have wanted. But I don't think that you should put any more time or energy into this. And I get that that's hard because like there's definitely people who like I have like beef with, and like when I see them it's like,
oh girl, yeah,
I'm also like, I'm gonna fucking avoid the shit out of you. Like I'm gonna try and not run into you, and if I do, I'm gonna like have like 3-second delay, see what you do, and then I'm gonna like go there. Because I think if you put yourself out on a limb and try and like be the bigger person, it sounds like you rightfully so have like traumatic feelings around her, and I think like the more that you get invested in this, the more you're possibly gonna get hurt.
Yeah. This seems like a little bit of like a crazy vortex almost. Like whatever can get into it gets like reinterpreted as crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like use the word crazy around women, but it's highly emotional and volatile.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. See, okay, so I'm a Cancer, so I'm like,
oh my god,
like sweet little water sign. Like, how do we deal with this?
Sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually don't hate your answer though. Like, I'm with you. I think, if she's blocking you, if she's going to ignore you and give you the cold shoulder, like, there is no reason for you to talk to her about it. Like, genuinely. I don't think that there is. I think probably the most important thing with this kind of personality in general is boundaries. So you need to set the boundary for yourself that you are not going to get pulled back into this drama. If she tries to revive this whole, like, ending your life over throw pillows narrative, just be like, I'm not talking about it. I'm not feeding into it. If the girls in the sorority want it to be a whole thing, you're not commenting on it. Like, you are Beyonce in the elevator with
Yes.
That's you right now.
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's a good person to be.
Yeah.
I'd be her any day.
Honestly, yeah, I would be Beyonce any day. Wouldn't we all? But yeah, cool, calm, collected. Like, this is like, she doesn't need to add any more trauma or drama to your life. And I can't tell you for sure that she won't try to, but I can tell you for sure that you don't have to give her the time of day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if she tries to, have a conversation with you and like start drama, I would see, like, if it's like, oh my God, you moved my throw pillows or whatever, just come at it with like facts and figures. Like, I'm sorry that you feel I moved your throw pillows. I will not move them again. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Like almost lawyer that stuff. Like, don't even.
And I think, and we've said that I've given this advice before, where it's like people you really don't like, but who are unhinged, they're going to show their true colors, and other people will be able to make that judgment call. So I think the more that you can even pretend like this past year never happened, and like she's a girl in your sorority that like you don't know that well, and that you don't really have any desire of being friends with, but like it's as if it never fucking happened. So if she sees you and she's like, hey, and you're like, oh hey, what's up? Like. And to be like, well, what? And it's like just very as if like you literally have no clue why she would hate you or why she would be mad at you. But don't do that in like an like, let's start being friends again. It's just like I'm unfazed by everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. From like personal experience, there was a girl in my sorority who she was a liar and user of people. And I caught on to it pretty early on. And I started like ignoring her, and then she started talking bad about me. And she did it because she wanted my attention.
Yeah.
And so then other people started and I would just like, I would acknowledge her presence, but I wouldn't like, I wasn't her friend in any sort of the matter. And so slowly other people started catching on and realizing like who she actually was. And then it was like, she was not, I wouldn't say exiled, but people just knew who she was, and she stopped being able to take advantage of other people.
Yeah, she put herself in her own place, essentially. Like I think that people like that, it's only a matter of time before like they're the ones who are going to bring their, I don't want to say demise, but they're the ones who are going to bring that upon them. It's not anyone else's responsibility.
Exactly.
And it's like Thanos, it's inevitable. But I think like it can be really, really hard, especially if you have like, still traumatic hurt feelings. That can be like, it's a trigger. Like it's totally a trigger. And I think the best advice I could say is truly just have a couple friends who know the situation. Don't show up to sorority events where you know she's going to be at first. Like give yourself kind of padding and cushioning so you have someone there who can be with you, like that you're not really caught in a place that can kind of slip you back into those feelings, and creating those boundaries to like protect yourself, and then just fucking faking it and eventually it's going to get a lot easier. And also the kind of like faux nice oblivious thing is really cunty and it feels really like good, but it also doesn't make you're not going out of your way to cause drama in a way. And it still is, you're still able to dislike her and hate her. You're just reconstructing how you're doing that, but it feels just as satisfying to you.
I always say like who you actually are will shine truer and brighter than what people say about you, which will work both for you and for her. So just, be you, do you, let that be it. But then my other thing that I like to remind myself of often is don't feed the trolls. So if she is this, emotionally volatile, likes to have some kind of drama going on and you were her last drama target, she might try to see if she can reignite that and keep that one going. And you just need to be above it, which I think we've said at this point. Don't feed the trolls and just let it be. Realize that this is like her burnout action. She's going to go through this crescendo of whatever toward you, and then it will move on to the next person. Just let it be.
Yeah. Just take a front row seat.
Honestly, yeah.
Get your popcorn.
Yeah, like, I'm ready to watch this crumble. Well, best of luck. Hope you have a great school year. Do good in school, in classes, and ace it, and use protection. Cool. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay, everybody, we're back from our break and we're gonna hop into the rest of the calls.
Hi, Megan. I'm 23.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
Years old, and I'm kind of in a dilemma with a friend. So I decided to create an app for my friend and her boyfriend's business, and I was not paid. I reiterated many times that this app was beyond my knowledge. I was the only one developing the app. I couldn't talk about it, share the code with anyone else. I got majority of it done, but after a month, I told them that they would have to look for another person because I will not be able to fix it within their deadline. My friend responded by saying that I was giving up on her and quitting on her. Because I was taking on other projects, she said, how would I be able to do those projects if I keep quitting on everyone else? There was a miscommunication of how much of a role I would be within their app, and I think she was hurt by that. 2 days pass, and I see a post on Facebook saying that there's a person who's close to her who is toxic. I don't care that she posts about me, but I just find it ironic that she says that I was toxic because I feel the same way about her. She's insecure about her weight, and she keeps telling me that I need to eat more because I'm skinny. She'll compare her awful financial situation to me, says she doesn't have the money to pay for her bills, but spends $3,000 to take a week trip to Florida. Then she'll justify her spending saying that, oh, because you don't have a kid and other payments, that's why I'm not in debt. But why does that matter? I didn't choose to have a kid and pay for 2 dogs. I know how to live within my means. I feel like I'm in some constant competition with her. Whenever her life is great, she'll push her choices on me. But when it's going bad, she'll take it out on me. Honestly, what it comes down to is I don't feel respected in the relationship, and I don't have the patience to put up with shitty behavior. The only thing that's preventing me cutting ties is that she has done a lot for me, and I've been friends with her for over a decade.
She wrote that out. So
She did. I love when they do
Honestly,
that.
I appreciate that. I feel like I would be that person.
Oh yeah. I'd be the calls we get in the back of the Uber drunk. That would be me. I'd be like, oh my god, I just found this boy and I fucked up. I love those calls.
Yeah.
Those are so fun.
Oh my
But when
gosh.
people's like actual first call of like you haven't even gotten home yet, or it's just like I'm in my car and I just did something so stupid. I'm like, and we're the first person about to call. It makes me laugh.
That's
Oof,
funny.
This sucks. Like this
Yeah.
hardcore sucks.
Oof. You know, let's go ahead and give it up for like realizing the toxic traits.
Mhm.
And like I feel like sometimes when you're in them, it sounds like she likes to really, she being the caller, really likes to like invest into relationships and
Yeah.
give into things and care for people, and it can be really hard to set your own boundaries in that scenario, and she is, in the sense that like she sees what's toxic. So good for you.
Mhm.
Hardest part is realizing the problem.
Oh yeah.
Ish.
It takes a while.
Oh yeah.
It's like there has to be a breaking point, and I think the app and not that kind of stuff. I think that for you, maybe at least for me, when I always had in toxic friendships, I would get to a point where it was like a moment of clarity. It'd be like something. I talk about this in therapy all the time. Like an event has to happen that like my like trauma brain can't go, oh, this is my fault. Oh, this is me. Like, and it has to be something that I'm like, no, all of those like negative thoughts in my head that like try and justify it. If those can't even justify something, then I'm like, oh, and it's like a whole thing is lifted and suddenly you see everything else that you're like, oh wow,
Yeah.
this is what's been happening this whole time.
Yeah. It's like a
Wild.
crazy reality shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like taking off VR goggles and I'm just like, holy shit. How did I end up here?
That's actually so accurate.
Ugh. I think it's sucky that people who you've known for a long period of time and people that you've invested in a lot and that have meant a lot to you, it really sucks and it disappoints you so much more when those people end up being shitty. But they're not like protected from that. Like anybody can be a toxic person, a toxic friend, and like they're not exempt because you've known them the longest or anything like that. And it's really sucky to know that no matter how much time and energy and effort you put into a relationship, like things can happen that are totally out of your control that you didn't ask for, and that can end it and turn people to be really shitty to you. And I don't think that there's any reason to stay in a friendship that isn't a friendship.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, like that's your relationship. Like it's not how you met. It's not like, no, we're not like how you met and how long you've known each other has literally nothing to do with qualities of a friend. That's just the context of how you became friends.
Right.
And if she's not being your friend, then she's not your friend. It's someone that you know who you've been really close with and who's really fucked that up. And you sound super aware of the fact that she's clearly hurting and she's taking it out on you. But you're doing nobody any favors by letting her do, not I would say letting her do that, but like you don't need to stick around. I have this like, I tell my friends this all the time when they're friends with people like this. I'm like, you don't have to, like, even if someone's going through a really terrible time, you don't have to stick around and be a punching bag because that's not your responsibility and that's not your job. And also that doesn't actually help them. That doesn't help them move through it or move past it. There are times where like you can lash out at your friends and then realize that you fucked up and apologize or you have that conversation. But if you can't have that conversation with her and you're just describing these things that she's done as just like character traits and stuff all the time, like by that behavior is just who she is at this point.
Yeah.
And it's not something that's you've been able to kind of correct and redirect and she's been able to grow from. And and then that's just enabling that kind of like shitty behavior. And some people just need to like fucking fall flat on their ass.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking about that as you were, because what I find is somebody that does tend to like stick around in these kind of relationships and really try to like help people, and it's like, oh, they're hurting, I can help them, like they're punching me but eventually they'll get over it. Like what I found is that like typically what these types of individuals need most is to experience the consequences of their actions. So yeah, falling flat on their face in their own way. it does not sound like you owe her anything. It sounds like you feel like you do based on the amount of time that you've been friends, maybe stuff that she's helped you through in the past. And I think, I mean, you can have a thank you next moment with that. Like, she's been there for you. She's been something for you. She's clearly meant something in your life. And it's okay for her role in your life to be done. Like, I don't really know if you would ever have characterized her as a soulmate, but I define soulmates as, like, any kind of relationship that is deeply meaningful and helpful to you. It can be familial, friend, romantic. It can last for a lifetime. It can last for months. And it's okay for those seasons to come and go. And so it sounds like this friendship has like found and ended its season. I think you guys would both be better off, taking a step back. And I think you hit it on the head with like, this was like a very catalyst-y moment for her to realize like how toxic everything was. I will say, just like as a side note, as somebody that like I work with my sister, like she's an employee of mine, if you're ever going to work with like friends or family, like have an agreement that's written up around like how things will be paid, when they will be paid, what are the roles that you're fulfilling. That just helps. You didn't do anything wrong in this situation. It just came up for me. Wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah, contracts.
They're very
fully in writing.
Very, very helpful.
Well, best of luck.
Yes.
And like cool on the fact that you can like make apps and shit.
Yeah.
Like, should we go on to the next?
We should.
Hi, Megan. I'm 25 years old, and I have kind of like a really general question for you. I have been dating since I was like 18, and I've had a few boyfriends, and I seem to have the same problem in all my relationships, and I have this expectation that I just can't shake. No matter how hard I try, it always gets the best of me, and it always makes me feel truly worthless if they don't meet this expectation. And I'm just wondering if that's normal. I feel like no matter who I date, no one ever wants to take me out on dates. No one ever wants to celebrate me. For example, I just got a new condo and my boyfriend didn't even bring over flowers. And, all these guys from work came over and dropped off all these housewarming presents. And it hurts my feelings a lot to know that my own boyfriend can't even bring me flowers. And at the same time, I don't want to be that girl that expects gifts and expects, him to pay for dates. But I find myself paying for all the dates. And then if he does pay, he only pays his half. And it's just really something that I just can't get over. And I don't know if maybe I'm the problem and that's an expectation that I shouldn't have, or if it is an expectation that's realistic, how could I go about meeting somebody that is going to meet that expectation? Because I date so many different people, different races and ages and heights and jobs and backgrounds and you name it. And it always ends up being exactly the same. I really just want to go on a date once every 4 to 6 months. And it always seems to be like something that isn't possible and is not a priority in anyone's life. And I don't know. I just wanted to know if maybe I need to address this with myself, or if that's totally realistic. I don't want to be the person who sets up all the dates anymore. My boyfriend recently set up a date and a week in advance and he just failed, and I can't help but being so disappointed because I've been looking forward to it all week. Anyways, let me know what you think. Thank you so much.
Wait, did she just say she wants to go on a date every 4 to 6 months?
Yep.
That's the baseline?
Yep.
I mean, first of all, I think you need to date retired rich guys who have a lot of time and a lot of money.
I don't think that's it. I think it might be the personality of the guy that she's dating.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, you can get the same personality type in any package.
Yeah.
You and your boyfriend should take this quiz, because I think it'll be enlightening for you to see how he shows love in ways that you don't necessarily receive it. So for you, you're not feeling that love because you, in my assumption, receive that love through gifts and quality time, and he's not necessarily giving you that, so you don't feel love. But maybe the way he shows love is through acts of service and words of affirmation. And then you're like, oh, wow, he is showing me how much he cares about me because he's telling me all of this, but I'm just not, and not even in like a knocking you way, like you're just not able to, you don't read it that same way.
Right.
And maybe he's like he's unloading the dishwasher, like he's like buying certain like he's not like getting you flowers, but like he like got you milk when he saw that you were running out. And Mott's and I have very different love languages. Mine is quality time and physical touch. So I'm clingy as hell.
Honestly, same.
Like I just like want to be like, I just want you to want to be around me all the time. And
like if your hand could be on me anywhere at any point in time, I would be totally happy.
We're sitting next to each other and you're not touching me. I'm like, are you mad at me? Like it is just like, no, I'm sitting right next to you. I'm like, yeah, but you're not touching me. Like, I just want you to hold my hand. Like I am so clingy like that. But for him, his are words of affirmation and acts of service. And so like, and I've learned that now that like he'll go and he sees that we're out of milk or coffee, and before I even know, he's already bought it and replenished it. Or I like will mention like, oh fuck, will remind me to get gas in the morning, and I'll wake up and he'll be like, hey, I got you gas, and like and that kind of stuff. But like for like my natural instinct, I had to learn that like, oh, this is you, like I can receive that now, but like immediately that wouldn't have been like I wasn't taking that like, oh wow, thank you so much, because he's like, no, I'm showing you how much I care about you. But I was just being like, oh yeah, we ran out of milk, like cool, thank, like but I was like, oh no, this is, and that was a great way to kind of see that. But I think you need to take it with him to kind of understand where he's at, but at the same time it's also very okay to like expect and want certain things out of relationships. I think you just need to figure out why you want those things, and is that how you like receive love, or is it something that you're not getting that you think will kind of make this relationship click more, and you'll be more in this will be the good thing, and like this is what's missing. But like he just might not be that guy. And it might be that like, oh, I think in theory I really want these sorts of things, but like in the actual act of it, does it like what is it that matters? Like, or is it like, oh yeah, he's not planning dates? Is that the part that is upsetting to you, or is it the fact that you don't feel like you're getting to spend quality time with him? And even if like, or uninterrupted, like you're not on your phones or something like that, and like is the fact that like he didn't bring flowers, is it the flowers that you're upset about, or is it the fact that like you don't feel like you're getting attention, and it's not actually the flowers, like you just don't feel like seen and you don't feel really cared for? Because I think like you're really going solution based, which is very much me, where I'm like, oh, this is the like let's just change this and fix this and this will be right. But it might also be representative of deeper feelings that you have about the relationship.
Yeah, I was pretty much on the same page as you there. I would definitely say like step 1, assess love languages, make sure that y'all are on the same page, because it is funny how much people can talk past each other with those. Actually, I have a friend of mine whose significant other's love language is acts of service, and then hers is words of validation. And she was like it's really great to know, but also I hate it because I have to like do the dishes and do all this stuff, and he just has to tell me I'm pretty.
That's
but as
funny.
soon as they figured it out, it like made such a big difference. And like I've felt that in relationships as well, where it's like when you're able to like learn each other's language, it helps a lot. Barring that, it sounds like, again, what you said, she wants to feel more seen and celebrated in a relationship. And yes, that is an absolutely normal thing to want. That is not selfish. That is not wrong. I think, it's a spectrum. You could make that a giant selfish thing if it was like, excuse me, where is my breakfast in bed this morning? That's maybe a little far. But if you just like, if the goal really is like a really great date that your boyfriend plans every 4 to 6 months, like that is a very low bar. Like extremely low bar. So if you're not getting that level of care and insight in your relationship, then yeah, maybe like, first of all, that's a normal thing to expect. And maybe this isn't the right relationship for that. I do think like based on what I've heard, it's probably best to go ahead and like assess whether or not you guys are expressing your affections in the same way, and just see if you guys are on the same page. You're just expressing it differently. But I also don't think that it's wrong to want to feel, desired and seen and celebrated in a relationship, because I've been in relationships where I wasn't like significantly, and I thought I was the problem and I thought I was wrong. And I've experienced relationships where I have been a priority and it's life-changing. And so, like, yeah, obviously you want to know that you're seen and you're cared for first and foremost, and that's definitely valid. I would do a little bit of like self-work, maybe like some journaling, maybe reading some self-help books, just figuring out like what is it that I really want from a relationship? What things really make my heart sing, like in theory or in practice, what has gone well for me in the past? What do I want and why do I want it? Do I want this because I saw it in a rom-com, or do I want this because it sounds like it would really fill something in my heart or my soul or whatever?
I think it also needs to be a conversation with him, because I think, at least from what I'm hearing, you're doing a lot of like do unto others as you would like done unto you. But if you're planning all of the dates, he doesn't have to plan them because you're doing it. And like, example, me, I love planning my own birthday. I don't want anyone to plan my birthday.
So funny.
Mott's one year wanted to plan my birthday, and it was causing me so much stress and anxiety. And he's like, well, no, it's just gonna like be. And then finally he's like, oh, you like doing this? Like, that's okay. This makes sense. He might think that you enjoy planning these dates. He might, like, if this is like a subtle hint that you want him to do it. But I think, like, and I don't want to say like, oh, take something away and then from there, but having a conversation, like, for him, like, what is his ideal date night? Maybe his ideal date night is like sitting and like watching Netflix and eating pizza, and maybe yours is going out and doing stuff. And the thing to touch on the financial aspect of it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
If he's can't pay for a date for both of you, he can't pay for a date for both of you. And that's something that, like, if, and no shade, if you want to date someone who's can do that, you have to go out of your way to date somebody who's financially well off and willing and able to spend their money on you. But that's not a precursor to every relationship, and it's something that you're going to need to seek out and be really go for that, because nobody should like go broke for that. And also it just might not be what he wants to spend his money on, which is also fine. And if it's not something that, like, if it's a date that, like, sure, it makes like you happy or whatever, but like a relationship, I think, is also about like finding things that you both mutually are into, and not like, oh, tit for tat. Okay, I'm going to do this thing that you really like that I fucking hate doing, but because it makes you happy, but then we're going to do this thing that I really like. And it just goes back and forth in a way that's like, you need to find some sort of middle ground.
Right.
And it's also, you don't need to pay for him. You can just split everything all of the time. And I think like rom-coms have made this idea that like, oh, like the guy paying, like, that's so romantic.
Yeah.
Like that's, but like it doesn't need to be at all. And if you want to be financially taken care of, which I'm not accusing you of, and it's also not a bad thing to want, that just also has to be on your list of things that when you're going into a relationship, that's something that you express very early on, and like that weeds out your selection process. But guys in their 20s, or anyone in their 20s, it's no one's responsibility to, not that I'm saying that you are saying it's their responsibility, but like he's allowed to spend his money however he wants to. And if you genuinely want to spend your money on dates for both of you, then do that. But if you're doing that because you want him to do it back, stop doing that.
Yeah. I would say, like, I mean, maybe the love language here is gifts, because that's two things that we've gotten highlighted. I don't know. I agree with you. I think if it's definitely like you want to be taken care of in a relationship, like you do definitely need to like look for that. I don't know if I'm getting that from her, but
yeah,
I really can't tell. It's so hard with like.
Yeah,
a 30
I mean, she just
bought
bought a town. She just bought a townhouse. I
And
don't think
she's
she
doing
needs
okay.
to be taken care
No,
of.
not at all. I think it's more along the lines of, if you're someone who likes to like financially treat other people, then do that. But it just, but it's obviously, it's hurting you that he's not doing that back. So I don't know if you're getting joy by doing that. And that's the only time that you should, do you know what I mean? Like if I'm going to spend money on my friends and I'm going to take them all out to dinner, that's because I want to. I don't want it to be like, okay, now I'm waiting for your turn to kind of do that.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't feel like that. Like you should feel good doing it.
Yeah. I'm very much like, I don't even think of it as transactional. I like seeing and having like equal commitment within the relationship. So that could mean financially, that could mean emotionally, like all that kind of stuff. So I guess, like, I don't know if it is a little bit gender normy to be like, whoa, he hasn't paid for a date. Like, what's wrong with him? Like, but that was my original reaction. I think maybe for you, it sounds like it's not, he's not investing in the relationship. Like, obviously in this one, it's monetarily, but like in general, you don't feel like he's investing in the relationship as much as you are. So yeah, like you said, maybe having that point, like that clarifying point of like, how do we want to approach dates? Like, I really want to see, like, you don't have to say this following up to that, but like, I want to see that he's invested. I want to see that he cares, and I'm not seeing it right now. And so I just want to, like, for you have to figure out what does seeing that look like. And then for him, it's like, can he rise to that or adjust to that or fill that space in whatever way?
Because maybe you take you guys out to dinner and a movie and you pay for that, and then he can't afford that, and maybe it might not be about like, oh, him paying for this kind of stuff. Maybe it's then him planning a date that like you go on a picnic and like it's something that still has the time and energy and effort put into it, but it's not. It's something that he can, like, if he's like struggle like strapped for money, it's something that it has the same amount of like effort and energy and like thoughtfulness put into it. It just doesn't cost that much. But yeah, best of luck. Let us know how it goes. And congrats on a condo.
Oh my god.
Like, fuck, dude.
Like, these guys.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Their lives together.
Dude,
do you guys want to be my life coaches?
Do you know how many of them have fucking like babies and husbands and homes? And I'm like, why?
It's fine. I'm 30 and I'm renting an apartment. It's whatever.
I'm literally like, well, it's cool. I don't even have a dog yet. There are people who've called in where we've like recommended, like, maybe you get a dog. And they've called back like, so I got a dog. I'm like, fuck, I don't even have a dog yet. Like, in the time from 1 to 0, I was like, I want to talk. So we've been talking about it. We're going to do it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm ready. Fucking ready. Yes. Is it time for don't blame them?
Don't blame them.
Don't blame them.
She's a listener. She said,
Yeah, she knows.
Yes.
I know. I watched that episode with Keith.
Yeah. Fucking love Keith.
Also, can you like introduce me to the Try Guys?
For sure, except Eugene, because he's the only one. So this is where you guys call in with your own advice from previous episodes. So roll the tapes.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I'm calling to give a little bit of advice to the girl in the episode with Becca Tilley, who was afraid to go to the gynecologist because she didn't want to talk about it to her parents. So I was kind of in a similar situation. I was 23. I needed to go to the gynecologist, but both of my parents are pretty Southern Baptist, and I'm on their health care. Little fun fact, though, your health care, you can make yourself the only person who gets the bills and the information, even if you're on your parents' health care. If you're over 18, you just need to call your health care, tell them that you do not want any of your medical information given to anyone else, and they will only send the bill to you, and they won't notify your parents even though you're on their insurance. So, pro tip. Or you could just do like Megan and Melissa said and just go and leave them the bill anyways and just hope they never bring it up. But either way, good luck.
Oh my god, pro tip.
I didn't know that.
Me neither.
I'm on my own health insurance, so it's not helpful for me, but
I know,
damn.
Same. That's so funny. I literally just watched that episode.
You were talking about when you came in.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
God, wow. That is... how did you find that out? Like, did someone tell you? Did you Google that? Like, that's like an information thing that I'm like,
I don't know, but we are all more empowered for it.
Yeah.
Thank you, caller.
I get so many DMs all the time about people being like, how do I like go to a certain doctor without my parents finding out? I'm like, fucking no at all.
I'm
but
not
now
a medical professional.
Now there's this. That's
Yeah.
crazy. But also, it's just if you live with your parents, it just has to be the same thing that I used to do before report cards would come. Where I would like speed fucking home, and me and Jerry, Sydney was always really great at school, so like she never had to like speed home and throw. We would actually force her to throw away the report card because it would. Otherwise, she would fuck up our whole storyline of being like, "Oh, report cards aren't here yet," and we would just have to like race home and be like, you have to be you just wait at the mailbox.
We were very different kids in high school.
Oh yeah, well you and Cindy are both cancers. You're like, no, you got great grades, all of that shit. Again, charisma got me did not get me into good colleges.
But you have more fun stories than I did for sure.
But I mean, yes, to a certain extent, but also, you know, it's not necessarily like I don't look back on it, I'm like, wow, I was really, really glad I did all of that stuff. But
that's a good pro tip though. I like this. I also grew up in a very Southern Baptist family, so I understand. Yep. It was the whole thing. Thankfully, I didn't try to go until like right before I got married, and my parents were like, okay, we understand. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, you're like, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, well, that's it for this episode. Kaylee, thank you so much for being on.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I feel like I had so much therapy this week. Like, this was like, you have, like, I mean, you obviously don't live here, but like, you can't come back as often, but you have to come back. Like,
absolutely.
Such good advice.
Really?
I feel like
the therapy worked.
Yeah, 100%. Sometimes I do feel like when we have like people who are really good at answering questions, I feel like I've had like an additional therapy session this week.
Oh my God, that's such a good compliment. I really appreciate that.
You're clearly my therapist would love you. She'd be like, yeah, Kaylee would be my star pupil, where I'm over here being like, this is bullshit. I'm over it. Can we just stop? But tell people where they can check you out on the internet.
Oh, hey. Okay, so I'm KayleyMelissa, Kayley Melissa, on pretty much everything. I mostly post on YouTube. Got a lot of hair tutorial content, and I'm on Instagram. I've got Halloween coming up. It's going to be a real fun month.
You guys, this is the time. If anyone has not followed you yet, this is the time to be like, you go hard.
Oh, I do.
You go so hard.
Girl, I've already been filming Halloween stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't even like Halloween. I still watch. But if you guys want to be on an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, Don't Blom Meme Pod, and our own individual Instagrams. You can listen to this if you're watching, and if you're watching, go listen. It's all linked. All of the things.
If you're listening, I make a lot of really insane faces reacting to these calls, so have fun.
Well, hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye. Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts. Camera operator Amanda Lechner. And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso, part of the HerPod Network.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all. I'm JJ.
Hey, guys. It's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings Podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out Real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.